In this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about academic writing. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to define academic writing, understand how and why you can use academic writing across disciplines, list the major characteristics of academic writing, and describe the basic elements of plagiarism. Academic writing refers to a specific type of writing used across disciplines that follows particular conventions. Academic writing is used not only in the classroom, as the name might imply, but also in other professional fields, such as in journals, newspapers, scientific studies, the average business workplace, and more. So why use academic writing? Academic writing is used to communicate and build knowledge in the community and in the world. Scholars use academic writing to write articles and conduct studies. Then other scholars build on that work by either adding to it or by refuting it with new or different evidence. In this way, to use academic writing is to join a conversation with other people in a particular field with the sole purpose of building knowledge and making progress. Another example of academic writing that might hit closer to home is writing in the classroom. In a writing class, students use academic writing to improve their writing skills. They write essays, they work in groups to edit each other's work, and they learn how to take the skills they learned and apply them to other courses. In the workplace, employees use academic writing to communicate with each other through emails, memos, reports, resumes, and cover letters in order to build on and make improvements to their business. So overall, academic writing can be useful across many disciplines, and learning how to use this skill can benefit you throughout your life academically, professionally, and intellectually. Now that you have an idea what academic writing is, let's go over some of its major characteristics. First, remember that the goal of writing academically is to join a conversation. You should always state your purpose for writing clearly and explicitly. Your readers shouldn't have to guess what it is you're trying to say. And you should also write what you think. For example, after learning about systemic racism, how does that make you feel? What do you think should be done about it? The purpose here is to share your opinion with others and to let your voice be heard. You have the power to change the world you live in. Academic writing also requires you to respond and question what other people have said or written. If your friend tells you that marijuana should be illegal in all cases and you disagree with that argument, you should ask why and present your own arguments in response. Remember that just because someone has an opinion, even if you really admire or look up to that person, you shouldn't feel obligated to agree. Instead, you should question everything always and be skeptical until you feel you have enough evidence to support a particular argument. Keeping this mindset is key to writing academically. Another characteristic of academic writing is using a particular style and tone. In general, you should aim to use a semi-formal tone, one that's respectful and appropriate, but also conversational and not too stuffy. Avoid using slang, common text abbreviations, and emojis in academic writing. Don't use outdated or fancy language that you wouldn't normally use in a conversation, words like hitherto and henceforth. Instead, use concise and direct wording that's easy to follow and understand. Here's an example of a sentence that's too wordy. Therefore, in our world today, climate change, above all other issues, is causing so many problems that it's hard to keep track of all of them, and this issue needs to be addressed. A better and more concise way to write this might be, climate change is a major issue in our world today that needs to be addressed. Using complicated wording can make it difficult for your reader to stay on track. Plus, your professors can always tell when you've added extra words just to meet an assignment's word count. Use proper grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Doing so will help you gain your reader's respect. For example, a cover letter that is riddled with errors is likely to be passed up by a potential employer. Plus, we use basic spelling and grammar conventions for a reason. They provide clarity and ensure successful communication, both qualities that are essential for academic writing. The next characteristic of academic writing that we're going to focus on is organization. Most writing formats require you to organize your writing by including an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The introduction should work to introduce your topic, working from general ideas to more specific ideas, often ending with your thesis. Your thesis should clearly state your overall purpose for writing, while your body paragraphs should work to support the thesis. Each body paragraph should focus on one main supporting point, using a variety of claims and evidence that supports your thesis, and should begin with a topic sentence that states what that paragraph will be about. You should also use clear transitions to move from point to point. Finally, you should end with a clear conclusion that wraps up your thesis and main points, and sometimes calls on your reader to respond in some way. All of these are important elements of organization in academic writing that provide your readers with clear and familiar cues so they can easily follow and understand your writing. Finally, providing solid evidence to support your claims is a crucial part of academic writing. Always use sources that are trustworthy and unbiased. After all, your goal is to add to the academic conversation on your topic and build on previous research that others have worked hard to publish. Your reader will have a hard time taking you seriously if you don't take the time to do your own research and find quality sources to support your arguments. One way to gain your reader's respect is to include multiple perspectives on the topic that you're discussing. Addressing the opposing point of view and showing why your argument is stronger will help to persuade your reader that you're up to date with the current academic conversation on your topic and that your argument deserves to be considered. Be sure to also give credit to the sources you use and include proper citations in your writing. When using information from other sources, it's crucial to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism occurs when you use words or ideas from another source in your own writing without properly giving credit to that source. Thus, plagiarism is equivalent to stealing another person's words or ideas and using them as if they were your own, a serious offense in the academic world that can lead to a 0 in your assignment, failure of the course, or even permanent expulsion from your school. The reason plagiarism is taken so seriously is that academic writing relies heavily on academic integrity, which requires scholars to uphold standards in honesty, respect, fairness, and accountability. After all, you can't build on knowledge in an academic conversation without properly giving credit to the ideas that came before your own. Keep in mind that most professors check essays for plagiarism using online plagiarism software, which can easily detect writing that has been taken from online sources, print sources, and even other students' essays. Most of the time, plagiarism is intentional, obvious, and blatant, but it's also possible to commit accidental or unintentional plagiarism simply because you may not be familiar with the basic rules of incorporating sources into your writing. We'll go over a few of these basic rules in this presentation. First, it's important to know what kinds of ideas should be documented. In brief, any material that is not considered common knowledge should be properly acknowledged in your work. Common knowledge includes facts or other information that is well known to the audience that you're writing for. For example, the average college student knows that the U.S. became independent from Britain on July 4, 1776, which has come to be known as Independence Day, or July the 4th, and is often celebrated with fireworks and barbecues. Since this knowledge is commonly known, you would not need to cite a source when using this information in an essay. However, the average college student does not know that it was once customary for towns to compete for building the largest bonfire on the eve of Independence Day. Because this information is not commonly known, you must give credit to the source from which you learn this fact. Any words or ideas from outside sources that are not considered common knowledge should be properly documented, whether the information is summarized, paraphrased, or directly quoted. A summary is a brief, objective account in your own words of the main ideas in a source, while a paraphrase is a restatement of a source in your own words. A quotation, on the other hand, uses the exact words of the original source in quotation marks. When using any of these three methods, avoid plagiarism by giving clear credit to the source by following these 4 steps. Introduce the source with a signal phrase. Integrate the source logically into your writing. Explain the relevance of the source to your own ideas. And cite your source using the documentation style required by your professor and/or appropriate to the type of content that you're citing. Let's look at this example. According to Thoreau, we do not ride on the railroad, it rides upon us, page 73. Though at first glance this seems like a paradox, a closer analysis reveals Thoreau's argument. Technology controls us more than we control technology. Here, the writer introduces the quotation with a signal phrase, according to Thoreau. Then, the writer integrates a direct quotation from the source, using quotation marks around the cited material. The writer ends with an explanation as to what the quotation means or how it relates to the writer's other ideas, and cites the work by including a properly documented in-text citation, which corresponds to an entry from a works cited or references page at the end of the essay that provides full bibliographic details for the source that the reader can refer to for more information. Generally, in-text citations should be placed as close to the source material as possible, either directly after a quotation or at the end of the sentence. Likewise, you should end summarized or paraphrased material, which might make up several sentences or an entire paragraph, with an in-text citation. What's most important is that your reader can clearly distinguish ideas that come from outside sources from your own ideas on the topic that you wish to present. See my presentation called Integrating Sources for specific details. One of the most common mistakes in writing that results in plagiarism, often unintentionally, is the use of patch writing, or writing that borrows too much wording and structure from the original source. Let's look at an example. This is a paragraph from an original source, while this is a summary of that work that uses patch writing. As you can see from the highlighted material, the summary uses particular words, phrases, and sentence structures that are too similar to the original source material. Because the material is so similar, patch writing can still be considered plagiarism even if you include an in-text citation, because you are not giving credit to the writer's specific choice of words and structure. To avoid this common mistake, be sure to use your own words to write summaries and paraphrases. Use quotation marks around any material that is quoted word for word, even if it's just a few words, and end with an in-text citation that gives credit to the source. So, in a nutshell, academic writing is an important skill to acquire and can be useful both inside and outside of the classroom. In this presentation, we discussed the definition of academic writing, how and why you can use academic writing across disciplines, the major characteristics of academic writing, and the basics of plagiarism. Thanks for watching.